In this first video on percentages, we're just going to look at some true and false questions here to see if the statements make sense, and we're just going to answer true or false. So in the first question here, if I earn 50% more than you, let's just put some numbers to it to make it easy. Let's say that you make $100 and I make 50% more than that, so that's going to be $150. Then you must earn 33.3% less than me. If this difference here is $50, isn't the $50 change to go down a third, which is 33.3% of 150? Yes, it is. That same difference that was 50% of this number is going to be 33.3 continuing, actually, percent of this number. So yeah, that's right. If my salary increases by 5% each year, in 20 years, I will earn exactly twice as much as I do now. No, that's not correct. So this is not saying that you make 105%, that you're gonna, it's not, this is not right. This is what the problem wants you to assume, that you have 100% now, and then you have 105%, and then you'll have 110%, and that each year you're adding on 5% of this here. No, that's not what's going on. What's going on is that you're going to have 105% raised to the 20th power, like that, times your original amount, P, like so. So you're going to be making, let's see what it is here, 1.05 raised to the 20th power. It's going to be a lot more. You're going to be making, let's see, not double, but you're going to be saying, so I'm going to be at this, and then subtract off the original amount that you made, and there it is. That's how much more. So it's actually, you're actually going to be earning more money every, you're going to be earning more than double, because you're going to be getting increase on an increase. So that, no, this doesn't make sense, right? We'll talk about the idea of compounding interest and compounding values like that later on in investments. If the value of my home has quadrupled since I bought it, that means its value has increased by 400%. No, that's, sorry, this is true. This is false. This is false. Watch out that this says has increased by. That's not true. It has increased by 300% because you already had 100% of the value. And if it's at, and if the value is 4 times what it was, that's only a 300% increase to go from 100% to 400%. So that's false. It's possible for one person's weight to be 161% less than another person's weight. Yeah, that's true. So no, I'm sorry, false. This is false. You could be more than, but not less than, because you can't have it can't be a negative weight, right? So if a person was, let's say, 100 pounds, right? And I can't have another person be 161 pounds less than this person. There's no such thing as someone weighing a negative weight like this. So no, that's false. We can't do that with certain values like weight that that the lowest value that they can go to is 0. It is possible for someone's weight to be 400% more than another person. That's true. It's true. So if you have a baby, right, and then you have like a kid, it's possible that the kid weighs 4 times more than the baby, right? If you score 60% on the midterm math exam and 70% on the final exam, your overall score will be greater than 65%. Assume that the final counts for 60% of the grade and the midterm counts for 40% of the grade. So 40% of this grade of 60% plus 60% of this grade of 70% is so, and that is a 66%. Says your grade will be greater than 75%. That's true. Given Sue's weight increase from 120 to 132 pounds, and that Mark's weight increased from 150 to 65 pounds, we can say in absolute terms, just the difference by subtracting the two numbers, Mark's weight increased more. So that first part is true, but in relative terms, Sue's weight increased more. So in relative terms, this would be that the 132 minus the 120 divided by 120 is going to be 12 over 120 is going to be 10%. She had a 10% increase, and his was 165 minus 150 over 150 is going to be 15 over 150 is also a 10% increase. So it's going to be false to say that in relative terms, Sue's weight increased more because they had the same relative and percent increase. It was 10% of their weight for both of them. So watch out, even though the first part of this conclusion was true, the second part was false, so the whole statement is false. In Fremont in 1990, the mayor's approval rating was 80%. In 1998, his approval rating was only 60%. True or false, in absolute terms, his approval rating decreased by 20 percentage points. That's true. Whereas in relative terms, it decreased by 25%. So let's see. So we started off at 80%, and then we're down to 60% divided by the original 80% is going to be the same thing as 80 minus 60 over 80 is 20 over 80 is 1/4 is 25%. decrease, right? Yes, it's true. So this is true. Somebody tells you that their exam score was 70%, up 80% from the last exam, you would conclude that they must be lying or bad at math, because that is impossible. Depends on how they meant this. If they're talking about an 80% increase, which would be strange for them to be talking that way, then they could be telling the truth. But it would be really strange for them to be talking about their grade of 70% is an 80% increase over their last score. But this statement is false, because they could know what they're talking about, and it could be that their score of 80% is 170% of something that they made on their last exam. And pull up a calculator here. It could be that they got a 47%, say, on their last exam, and that this grade of 80 is a 70% increase. All right, last problem in this section, just to see if it makes sense to you. If 19% of the students in Mrs. Harris's class speak Spanish and 7% speak French, then 26% must speak either Spanish or French. That's false, because there could be bilingual students in there where the same student speaks French and Spanish. So it's not okay to just add them together like that. We'll learn more about that when we get to probabilities, but the probability of A or B is going to be the probability of A plus the probability of B minus the probability of A and B, like that. So let me put the and symbol there correctly. A and B. If we look at a Venn diagram here, since we've talked about Venn diagrams already, here's circle A, here's circle B. So let's say that these were the ones that spoke French, and these were the ones that spoke Spanish. And I don't know how much is in the intersection. I just know that all of circle A here is 7%. And all of circle B here is 26%. It would not be correct to say that the union of the two circles was 26% plus 7%. I'm sorry. This is 19 and this is 7. It would not be correct to add those two percentages together and say that they would make up the total area of both circles as 26%, because there's probably going to be some overlap. There's probably going to be some students that speak both French and Spanish. All right, that's it for this video. We'll see you next time when we look at some percentages as decimals and fractions using the is of formula.